What advice would you have a guy who maybe sees you in a bar and thinks you're really attractive and wants to approach you without being perceived as creepy?
Don't be creepy.
Do you think it's true women often find attractive men cute and romantic when an ugly one doing the exact same thing is creepy?
Yes.
Well, at least this girl gets points for honesty. That's exactly right. Exactly the same behaviors from an attractive man will not be liked as much by a girl if he's an unattractive man. That's exactly right. If you go up to a girl on the street and talk to her, if you're a handsome man, it's going to be positive. If you're an unattractive man, it's going to go real bad, and there might even be police involvement. Oh my god. Hello and welcome to the heliosblog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, hitting all for notifications. If you'd like me to comment on a video or compilation, send a link to theheliosblog@gmail.com. Also a Reddit post, that could work too. Anyway, here we go.
Okay.
I don't. I think all men are, I assume, the worst.
Oh man, I love how these girls tell on themselves. She assumes the worst. Okay, guys, so let me explain how this works, okay? Here's how it works. So, women that are attractive, okay? And even girls that aren't attractive, but in general, what they'll do is they'll go on social media, or they'll go on, Instagram, or they'll, whatever, or just out in public. And because they get so much attention, they're able to select. And what they do is they select the absolute top men, the top 1% if they can, or the 0.1%. The absolute most attractive man she could possibly get, that's who she's going to go for. And so, because of that, by design, those men have many options like her. And because those men have so many options, the man will never commit. And because he'll never commit, she's going to call him trash. And so when she says that she assumes the worst of all men, what she's actually saying, she's telling on herself. She's saying she only goes for those men who have those traits of not giving a damn about her, right? And so she assumes the worst because that is the behavior of a man that doesn't need her, to the point where he can literally discard her for another girl instantly.
So
Okay.
I don't see that.
Let me ask you this. Why is it okay for women to paint men with a broad brush as something to be feared, but if men did the same thing to women, it would be sexist?
I think that based on the statistics,
Yeah.
Okay.
it usually is
Let me ask
men
you
as
this.
the perpetrators.
Let me ask you this.
Actually, and here's what's funny, or maybe not funny, maybe sad. Violent crime, the vast majority of violent crime, homicides and so on, is a male on male. It's not male on female. It's actually less male on female. And actually, a man is more likely to get mugged walking out at night than a woman, statistically speaking. So actually, it's a stereotype to say that men are harmful to women at night or whatever. It's actually less likely. It's more likely that a man is going to mug another man or assault another man, actually.
Is it okay for women to fear men when 80% of all violent crime is done by men?
Yes, I mean that's why that broad paintbrush is there.
Okay. How?
No. 80% of all violent crime is done by men on men. It's not by men on women. Men on women, of all the violent crime that happens, and of course if it happens it's a tragedy, right? I'm not taking away from the awful things that men can do. Of course some people are capable of bad things, doubtless, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about statistically speaking. 80% of violent crime happens man on man, and the other 20% happens man on woman, you see? Well, not quite. It's, there's also woman on woman, woman on man as well, but I'm talking about the men that do violent crime. 80% of it is done on other men.
How is that different than judging certain races based on statistical data? In other words, why is it okay for women to be sexist but not racist?
Those are. I'm a sociology minor. I'm thinking. the difference between being sexist and racist. Can you ask the question again?
Goes to show how useful a sociology degree is that this girl can't even answer it like a rational question. But anyway, the question is, why is it okay for women to be sexist but not racist when they're basing their judgment of a man on statistics before they've even gotten to know the man, right? So it's a prejudgment is what the questioner is getting at. And then the girl is unable to answer the question because it's basic. What she's describing is assuming that all men are bad based on a small percentage on what a small percentage of men do, right?
Well, I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you're basing something off of statistics, and then you can't say the same thing based off you can't ignore one statistic and go completely full in on another.
That's because it's systematic, it's systematic racism. It's built into our society, and
Man, this is a red flag, okay? So if you go on a date with a girl and she starts talking like this is how you know she's been brainwashed by the education system, right? Instead of learning something useful like mathematics or science or programming or, pharmacy or, engineering or, literally anything useful, nursing, she's learning this garbage, right? About how society is against certain groups of people, how men are terrible, how, she's literally wasting her time getting brainwashed by society, by the educational institutions that are corrupt and are made to brainwash, and then taking it out on you effectively.
the same way sexism is.
Well, right, but I'm just saying that, there are statistics to back up certain reasons that certain people might,
I would just say it's
racism with a
because
broad brush,
racism is more prevalent and has more severe consequences than sexism, because
That is not true. Absolutely not true. And I would actually vehemently argue against that. Actually, because of womanism, the effects on American culture are the decay, not just American, but Western culture in general. The results are the decay of the entire society. So actually, the results of sexism are the destruction of the society. The entire society is in decline, and by extension will be in collapse very, very soon, within the next decade or two, like in full free fall collapse as a result of this sexism. These preconceived notions that women are brainwashed into believing, which they then want to be emancipated from, they want to be freed from and independent from. And so the rift between the sexes causes the gigantic problems in our society, right? So no, it's actually, of course, this is not to say that racism isn't harmful. It is, right? Preconceived notions, prejudgments prevent the collective working together of different cultures, right? Which is necessary for a cosmopolitan, metropolitan society to run properly. I'm not saying that racism doesn't have negative consequences, but regardless of race, in the West, women are treating men very terribly, and it's because of the inherent sexism that's taught by every major educational institution and the current cultural tide in all of the movies. And all of the major deliverers of culture right now are teaching women to be emancipated from men, to be independent of men, and to believe that men are evil and trash and want the worst for women. And that is directly leading to the destruction of our society, which I would say is actually even worse than racism. Although racism is terrible, this total painting of 50% of the population with a negative brush is even worse than that.
In our society right now, men and women are relatively more equal.
Wait. How is what the worst that men can do to women any as bad as violent crime of a different race?
Are you interviewing me?
Yes.
Right, she's trying to argue for a point that she has no basis for, and then her friend is even... I guess her friend is attracted to the interviewer. I'm not really sure that she's taking his side. Or maybe she just doesn't like her friend. Girls actually backstab other women very often. And I think actually we're seeing an example of it here, right? Where the girl... wants to look good on camera, and she actually believes that the interviewer is on the winning side, and so she takes his side in order to look good for the audience, right? But really, she just wants to be on the winning side. It's the warbrides dynamic. It's interesting here that she's turning on her friend. But this is very common, actually. Women turn on each other very frequently because honor and loyalty is not a base female trait. It has to be taught.
This is getting good. Go ahead. Ask your question, then we're done.
What'd you say? You said, oh well, one's systemic, and then the other is.
Well, they both are.
Then you said one has worse consequences, but.
It's funny because I actually argued earlier that sexism actually has worse consequences than racism. But I'm talking on a societal level. Of course, on an individual level, it's very possible for some racist behavior to have a worse consequence than like a sexist behavior by a woman to a man. It's very possible. But anyway, we're going deep down the rabbit hole here. Let's see what this girl says.
But how is rape worse than you murdering someone else?
Okay, why are we here?
Bad and neither should happen. But I do think murder is worse.
Well, then why does... So are you saying that one is happening because of systemic racism and the other is happening because of sexism?
It's a lot to unpack here.
Women are painting men...
Indeed, I actually got lost. There's just so much like jibber jabber going on that's hard to follow. But anyway, that's the idea there. So... Again, our society is in decline, and it's in decline because of basically womanism brainwashing half of the population to hate the other half, right? And like if we think about like the numbers that this is affecting, right? So, okay, let's say that in the United States there's 200 million people, right? And sexism affects half of them, so it affects 100 million people, whereas racism affects certain marginalized groups, right? So just by numbers alone, sexism is hurting more people than racism. But both are harmful. But actually, I would argue that womanism is even more harmful than systemic racism. And actually, I would even argue that systemic racism is okay, certain things are happening in our society against certain groups, yes, but to say that our 2022 society is as bad as it was in the 1950s is obviously untrue. It's way better now. Whereas the relationship between the sexes now in 2022 is way, way worse than in the 1960s, right? So, when the whole civil rights movement was happening in the 1960s, the irony is that the relationship between the sexes was pretty good. But now it's like people are pretty good at dealing with each other on a metropolitan kind of level, and even if they don't really like each other that much, they're at least being respectful towards each other enough to run the society. That is happening more or less. But the relationship between the sexes is absolutely awful. It's literally like we replaced one problem with another. So like multiculturalism and stuff worked pretty well, but now it's like intergender war, right? Which is insane. Okay, anyway, next.
With a broad brush as something to be feared, but if women did that to a certain race, that would be racist. You're generalizing an entire group of people either based on skin color or based on their gender, right?
Yeah.
The world's so fucked up, like, honestly.
All right, this is
Indeed.
an interracial dating question, okay? Are you more likely to see black men dating white women or white men dating black women?
You see black men dating white women all the time. You don't see white men dating black women all the time. So,
black men dating white women.
And why is that?
To be honest, I'm not really quite sure. That's just what I see.
I feel like they might be intimidated by us black women.
Here we go. All right. Okay. Finally, a point I can address. Okay. Here's the thing. This intimidated thing is not a thing. So men are not intimidated by women, okay? Men are not intimidated. But there is something that's going on that is repulsive from not all black women, okay? But certain black women. What they do is they just have the qualities that if any other woman had, men would also find repulsive, right? So they're masculine, they're strong and independent, they don't need a man, they push men away, they treat them with disdain, they divorce them at an astounding, alarming rate, they sleep around and then are single mothers. Like, of course, not all black women, and it would be an insult for me to say such a thing when it's not true, right? But that would be the reason why many men, not just white men, but many men in general, do not choose to date black women. Funnily enough, it's also why many black men don't date black women, and in fact they go to other races because they simply cannot enjoy the company of such a woman. And if any other race of woman behaved that way, they would also be repulsive. And in fact, if you go to Britain, for example, this trend is seen in non-black women as well, where they behave like absolutely terribly and expect men to be with them. And of course, they end up as cat ladies, right?
So they might do another race.
I don't see myself dating a white guy, nothing against his race, but it's more about like my bloodline and keep.
Something I wanted to say, related to Kevin Samuels. He actually talks about this. Rest in peace, by the way. He talks about this in his YouTube channel, or he did, which was that black people in general prefer more than other races to date within their race. That's a thing, apparently, according to Kevin. It's funny that she would make this argument here, because if you reverse the races and a white person said this, it might be misconstrued as racist, right? When she talks about it's my bloodline, etc., etc.
Keeping it pure and black, and maybe if I want to have children, I want my children to be black.
You see, so it's like, again, this sort of thing might be construed as racist if another race were to say it. But again, I think in this girl's case, she's not saying it in a malicious way. I think she's saying it in a genuine, like, she just has a preference, which, again, that is totally allowed, right? You can't shame a person for, a white person for wanting to be with a white partner, or a black person for wanting to be with a black partner. So this is not something that I consider to be egregious, what she's saying here.
Nothing against like skin color, race, nothing.
Indeed.
I have two theories, and I want to see what your opinion is, okay? Theory number one is the infamous BBC.
Big black cop.
Theory number two is black women are often perceived to be seen as less submissive.
The BBC, that ain't true.
And this is another thing. I've actually heard this story. I've heard the story that the BBC thing is not true. So apparently, statistically speaking, black men are just like all other men. The only reason they have this, by the way, the place I heard this was Donovan Sharp's channel. Shout outs to him. The reason that black people have that reputation is because of the porn industry, right? But it's actually not. It's not a true statistic. It just happens that certain outliers, right, are black, and they are in that industry. So that is actually true. That it isn't true about size and black men, but certainly black women have a reputation for being less submissive, and I think that's just because of this whole strong independent woman narrative that has taken control, that appears to have taken control of the black community. And Kevin, rest in peace again, was trying to work on this, and it's a shame that he died a heart attack, to anyone who's curious. All right, we're going to leave the show here. A little bit of a controversial kind of topics that we covered today. It's a little bit, but anyway, certainly interesting. Again, if you agree or disagree with the comments that I've made in the show, please leave a comment. That's what the comment section is for. Again, I'm sure you're going to catch things that I didn't so go ahead. And again, this isn't really my area of expertise. This is my opinion. Okay, here is the Reddit article. My girlfriend, 25. Oh, wait, what? The guy is 25 and his girlfriend is 31? Oh, no, that's a red flag. Publicly posted personal details of our bedroom fun life on Facebook without asking me permission. She is deeply upset that I have a problem with that. You cannot make this shit up. I'm just quoting Kevin Samuels here. So recently, my mom told me that she saw a comment my girlfriend made on Facebook about our bedroom fun life. Oh my god, what a disaster. Where she basically shares very personal details that I'm not going to get into. Oh god. Yesterday, I respectfully asked her to remove them, and while she complied, it clearly upset her that I would even suggest such a thing, saying things like, why are you so ashamed of the fact that we have bedroom fun? It's normal, and my family respects my privacy and doesn't look at my bedroom fun related posts, so it's not my fault that yours does. That's not the problem here. The problem is the attention-seeking behavior that sort of thing clearly implies, and also that the girl is not loyal to the guy, right? She's privately putting on blast all of the things about her bedroom fun life. She doesn't think to ask for the guy's opinion because her mental point of origin is herself. She's not committed to her boyfriend. She cares about herself and the attention that she's going to get from the post, and that's her priority. And it's a problem, of course. I explained to her that Facebook, by its very definition, isn't private, and whatever she posts is public for everyone to see, family included, and that at least your partner, asking your partner for permission before posting such things is the right thing to do. And she only got more defensive, saying that I'm trying to control her. Oh, by the way, guys, that is classic girl-shaming language. So what they'll do is, when you try to call them out on bad behavior, they will immediately attack your character, saying you're, controlling, you're weak. It's like an immediate attack on your masculinity. And that's actually a red flag as well, that the girl needs to be right and that she's unable to accept responsibility for her negative actions. I feel very bad for the relationship. It's probably going to end. I told her that a relationship is a two-way street and that what she posted disrespects my personal boundaries, indeed, which led to her saying that she needs a break. Right, so the girl is saying it's her way or the highway, right? So if the relationship is not running according to her frame, she wants to end it. But here's the thing. At 31, the girl doesn't have much options, right? So she's just hurting herself by doing this. Men, if the girl says she wants a break, let her go, block, lose her number. Like, there's no need to interact with people that are being this negative. Our relationship has lasted 2.5 months, and this has been our first real argument. I can't believe that the girl would be so disrespectful as to post stuff on Facebook that's permanent about their sex life after only 2.5 months. Oh god. Can you imagine how much worse this relationship will get? I'm honestly at a loss about all of this. What she posted wasn't meant to insult me or make me out to be the problem, but it does deal with something I'm insecure about and rather not have my family and friends see. It's probably his size. I've explained to her in the past that I'm generally a private person and I'd just rather not have people knowing about what goes on in my bedroom during bedroom fun. So I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm ashamed. Am I the one who's overreacting? No, you're not overreacting. Your girl is highly disrespectful and your relationship is done. Move on. Lose her number. Yeah, she crossed the boundary and doesn't have a problem with it. It's only been 2.5 months. This would be a deal breaker for me, and I know it would be a deal breaker for a lot of people on the sub. Move on. At least the top comment is reasonable. Finally, usually they're siding with the girl. Privacy for me is important. I really don't get how most people feel okay with sharing personal details of their life on social media. Well, that's the thing, right? That's the world we live in, where all of your personal details go on blast and you have nothing to say, right? If your girl wants to put on blast everything that you do in your relationship, you literally can't track it, right? And once it's there forever. Like, imagine she posts that you're small, or that you're bad in bed or whatever, and she's putting it on blast for everyone to see. Oh, and here's something I didn't think about. This could also be her attempt at getting the guy to never be able to break up with her, because she attacks his masculinity in front of every single person that's friends with him. And so those girls see that and don't want to be with the guy anymore because they see his weaknesses. And it's an attempt to Black Widow Spider the guy, to weaken him so that she can have him all to herself. I didn't even think of that, but certainly that's something. Many women at 31 will do this because they know they have no options and they must lock down a man. And a lot of women, what they do is they try to weaken the man so that he lives his life according to her frame. And if he doesn't, she'll leave. She did cross a boundary. This is back to the comment. And based on OP's description of her attitude afterwards, I probably wouldn't be able to trust her. Who knows what other personal details she posted or would post on social media about the relationship that is nobody else's business. Indeed, this is terrible. This is super deal breaker for me. This is a no. Hard no. Hard pass. Block and lose her number. All right, everybody. I think we're going to end the relationship there. End the relationship. Perfect. I still had this comment on the brain. We're going to end the video there. Again, if you like or dislike the comments that I've made on the video, please leave a comment. That's what the comment box is for. If you're liking the videos, new to the channel, please leave a sub and hit all for notifications. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please remember to do all of the following. Like the video for the algorithm. Comment on the video. I respond to all comments and I'll give you a heart. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can see my content on your feed. Check out all of my content on other platforms. It spreads the reach of the channel. YouTube, bit.ly/heliosyoutube. Rumble, bit.ly/heliosrumble. My blog is realheliosblog.com. My podcast, bit.ly/heliospodcast. My Patreon, patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also support the show at bit.ly/heliosdonations and buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. Thank you so much for all of your support.